Okay, and welcome to another edition of Steam Powered PD. Thank you very much for joining us. Today is Wednesday, the May 6th, and today we're going to talk about citizen science as our topic. When we talk about citizen science, we're thinking of things that either you or I, or more importantly, our students can do from home and actually help real scientists. There are all kinds of different projects and things that they need other people's eyes on, humans' eyes on, to be able to help with that. And so this is what we're going to be talking about today as far as things that you could share. This week is kind of the idea is things that we can do beyond our standard, lessons and essays and kind of standard academic kind of things we're asking of the students, but what things can we do even beyond that that are a little bit more engaging. So Monday we talked about Google Earth. Yesterday we talked a little bit about Tour Builder as far as another tool to be able to do geographically based things. Today with citizen science, these are things that they are going to be geographically based, but they're also going to be the idea where kids can actually work on them on their own or with you as a project. So I'm going to start the screen share here. Also today, all the different links I'm going to share a bunch of links today. They are all in the show notes. So if you either go to rsh19.info if you're in the district, or if you're outside the district, steampoweredlearning.org. And right there, they'll be right at the top. You'll see the link for citizen science and all the different things I'm going to share with you. Now, these are different age levels as far as what's appropriate, and it'll be up to you to make that determination. But most of these things I could see working all the way down to, say, 4th or 5th grade, as far as students be able to figure that out. Some of them are really fun, like finding photos of animals, or finding new stars or galaxies, or really kind of cool things that kids can be participating with. Let's start with this. So this is a presentation actually I've given before at different workshops. The idea of students as citizen scientists. This was years ago, but now you think about it, hooray, we can have inside recess, said no teacher ever. One of the things that we really talk about, especially with as much technology as kids use and as much screen time, how can we have them, if they have a thing that they want to play, the thing they have free time for, but we want them to do something that's actually kind of more worthwhile, something that's going to add, and so not just be kind of like just a video game, yet another video game. There are some, there are typing games, there's some math games that kids like, and those are okay, and those are great to start with. But what about even more advanced things where, yes, they're just kind of using time, but they're doing something that's actually giving back to the community, and so that's what we're focusing on. Definition of citizen science involves these big social science or scientific experiments, and these different websites will help us contribute to real scientific work and help scientists in need. The idea of doing science anywhere. So you can do it on your phone. I know some people I've looked at before, they have mobile apps that they'll be able to do it if you're in line somewhere. So it's not just wasting time, you're actually adding to the big picture there. Here's my first example, and this is a really fun one. And the reason why I like this one so much, it's called Global Explorer. And this was started by Lady Sarah Parkneck, and she is actually from Bangor, Maine. She hails from Bangor, Maine. This was her TED Talk, if you get a chance to check that out, her wish. And so one of the things that she was doing is she was using satellite photos, and she considers herself the first astroarchaeologist, so using satellite, space photos to do archaeology and see dig sites. So I believe it started in Peru. It worked its way to Egypt, and they would find, and if I'll click on the next thing here, this was the site, and you would find different areas that they were looking at, and they would see things like this. They'd see square holes that you could see from space. Now, the reason why that was important is if they were a square hole and they were kind of equally spaced apart, you could tell that that was a looting hole. That there were looters that were going to that area that might have been a very important archaeological find, but they would use those images to be able to help find if that was the place to go, like in Peru or in Egypt or so forth. And so the purpose of the citizen science aspect of it was anybody at home could help and go see those photos and kind of say, yes, this looks like a looting site, or no, this just looks like trees or something like that. And so with all the thousands and thousands of images, it was too much for one person to try to go through, but they had all these people kind of add to that pile of information, so they were very easy to be able to go through and find what they were looking for. 17.7 million tiles explored by the Global Explorer community to date. All kinds of different cool activities here. So this is a fun one. And one of the things I like about this, it's absolutely worth checking out her TED Talks. She was the winner 2016 of the TED Prize, which means you get $1 million to put towards a project of your choosing. And so this is what she did. She had millions of unknown archaeological sites across the globe by building an online citizen science platform and training 21st century army of global explorers. What a better thing to do right now. If we are kind of stuck at home a little bit, what a better thing to kind of give back and also feel like you're out there a little bit, kind of looking through different archaeological places. So that's a great one to start with, depending on what your age level you're working with is. The next one we'll talk about is Zooniverse. Now, Zooniverse is kind of the granddaddy of all these. This is not a citizen science project. This is a collection of many citizen science projects. So if I go to zooniverse.org, these are people-powered research, and these are all kinds of projects. So this is where I probably would start, because it's not just one. There's dozens and dozens of on here. This is basically a collective of a number of them. And you can go, if you scroll down a little bit, the different ones. Actually, I'm going to sign in here with my account. All right, let's go back to projects for a second up here. So you can look if you want to. Let me see here. Right here, right at the top. So these are ones that are kind of they're featuring right now. And so they have baby sounds. They have star notes. This one's really cool. Help us transcribe the groundbreaking work of early women astronomers. So they'll take actual handwritten notes sometimes, and they'll have scanned it, and they'll have different people look at different translations or different, maybe that word means this or that, or looks like this, and they don't. It's not a one-to-one. That means if you make a suggestion, that means it automatically goes out there. They'll combine those different suggestions and kind of use that to kind of hone down on what they actually think it is. But if I want to look, this is all the different, recently launched different citizen science projects. But if I want to look for specific topics here, so there's arts, biology, literature, so I'll scroll over here. We'll do one on space. So if I want to just look at space-focused type of projects, I can click on that and scroll down. And these are ones, this is one that I really like to do, is Galaxy Zoo. So again, there are a number of them on here, as you can tell. What happens is they're getting millions of photos in, from the Hubble telescope, from some of the other near-field telescopes, getting all these photos in there, and they just don't have enough people to look at them. They do have computers that will scan through and help them, but the human eye and our ability to look at things and recognize patterns is better than any computer even to date. Like even the supercomputers aren't as good. So if I click on Galaxy Zoo, for example, this is the type of thing they'd have us do. So I'm going to go to classic mode. It would show us a picture like this. So this is an image. And I would say, this is a galaxy, simply smooth, rounded, or with no sign of a disk. And I would say that's got a little bit of feature. It looks like a little bit of a spiral arm here, I would guess. So I'm going to click features, click next. Is it on edge or is it something else? Yeah, it's something else, because I'm looking, it looks like it's straight down. Next. Is there a bar here? Maybe a very weak bar around the edge here. Is there any sign of a spiral arm pattern? I'm going to say no, not much of one. Is there a bulge in the middle? Yes, and it's pretty large, I would guess, right here in the middle. Is the galaxy merging or disturbed? So is it merging with another galaxy nearby? And I'm going to say no. That looks pretty circular. I would say none. Any rare features? Is there dust lens? These are the types of things, again, that we can see with our human eye, no problem. But for a computer to distinguish all these, it's really difficult. And that's why having more citizen scientists do this, the better off they are. And that's it. I'm done. I just did one. So we just helped classify a galaxy somewhere in the universe for our organization. I'm not sure which, this might be NASA or which organization is looking at these. You can kind of do more deep dive if you want more information. You can also favorite these if you want to favorite a certain image you see and kind of come back to it. How fun is that? You can look at it. That's the one I identified. It's a certain galaxy or whatever. So that was Galaxy Zoo. That's one of the ones that I like. Another one that I know kids would really like, it's called Snapshot Safari. And so the idea here is that you are going on a safari. They're actually using real webcams that are in Africa, but they'll run them at certain times. So I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to start classifying right here. Okay, they'll walk you through step by step. Okay, welcome. What do I need to do? Here, click on here. It will show you, if you read through these steps, it shows you exactly what they're looking for. So, what types of animals are there, how many, are there babies there, what the condition they're in, all that kind of stuff. And you can do as many or as little of these as you want to. Additional data. Just do our best. Again, it says it's hard to make some animals. So this is not a case where you're the only person that will see this photo. They'll take these photos, they'll share with a number of different people, and there'll be a consensus. If most people think that is a zebra, not a lion, then that's probably what they'll use, and they'll get their numbers from that. Let's click continue. All right, so I'm going to look at this one. There's one animal there. I'm not really sure what it is, but if I go up here in the upper right, I can see a whole list of things. The first thing I'm going to look at is a build. And what the build will give me, is it big? Is it small? Is it really tiny? So is it a bird? This looks kind of like maybe, I'm going to say a springbok. It's got those rear legs here in the back, if you notice. So how many are there? I see one. And it looks like it's standing there. And are there any young present? And I'm going to say no. Boom, I just identified one. Let's go look to the next. Done. The next picture. Oh, another one. Cool. This is a close-up. The other cool thing is a lot of these will have 2 or 3 pictures. And if you notice here in the lower left, I can click play. And see, this one looks like he's walking in here. So they're looking at this, and I can see each picture individually if I want to. And maybe if we're lucky, you'll see, you know, like a caracal or a aardvark or something cool, or ostrich or something, or leopard even. But that one, again, I'm going to say that one has, looks like it's, let's see my color here. Again, this is black and white, so I can't really tell. Horns, I think that's probably with the lines on his face, another springbok. Look at, you can see right here, you can see the different facial lines here. So that's probably what that looks like. I'm going to say there's one of them. He's moving as he's walking towards it, and there was no young present. We'll do one more just because it's kind of fun. Click done. This one, I can't really tell if there is an animal there. Looks like maybe there's one in the back. Yeah, there is. You can tell there's one motion. So these are motion activated, so it's not going to just be a picture of nothing. It could be if the wind's blowing, but I'm not sure what that is. So I can say that I'm not sure. Go to the next one. Let's see what we got here. We'll do this. Looks pretty cool. That's another, looks like another springbok. All right. So just to show you, so I went through and did a couple of them. And if I want to look at my own that I've already clicked on, I can click here and do favorites. And you'll see ones that you collected as you go. And there is a community around this. What the idea here is, if you're interested in talking about one of these things, you can actually click talk, and there'll be different people who are looking at that same information and try comparing notes, that kind of stuff. And you can say, oh, do you really think that's this type of galaxy or this type of animal or whatever? And so you can build that if you want around as a class project. It'll be kind of fun. So some of the other ones on here, like I said, there's all kinds. What I would do is if you're doing certain units, maybe you're doing astronomy, maybe you're doing different parts around the world, maybe connecting it to the Google Earth component here. I would look through on your own and find a good one that you think is worthwhile. And then maybe as a class, have them go in and kind of add to that, so you can add to it as you're going forward. We talked about Galaxy Zoo. The last one I'm going to share is, and these links are all, you'll find them all on the show notes. If you go to rc19.info and scroll down a little bit. So last week was Citizen Science Week. And so National Geographic put out a post. And these are the same types of things we've been talking about, but they're just more ideas. So they give you other links. Here's looking for animals. An iNaturalist is called. Kids can use that. Searching space, World Water Monitoring Day. So they're very similar ideas. Zooniverse basically does like a collection of all of them under one umbrella, but these are all individual ones. Again, it's worth looking through if you find something, if you're looking, depending on what you're doing with students. And what a great way to get them outside, looking around, looking for animals, and maybe keeping track of the animals they find, and then using that information to add to a bigger picture, to a more global idea there. Weather data, so there's all kinds of different stuff. Bird feeder stakeout. So any of these you can kind of click through and see if it's something that's worthwhile for your class. All right, I want to check. Yeah. So with that, I did want to answer one other question that came up for the Q&A from yesterday. And they were asking about presenting. Now, a couple different teachers and students have emailed me where a teacher is presenting, like I was doing a second ago with Google Meet, and then the student, if they're viewing it, they're having trouble, either they see you or they see the person speaking, or they see the presentation, but don't see them both. The biggest factor there is on their end, and what I mean by that is what type of device they're using. So right now I'm using a laptop to project. And if I do present screen, you'll see a little video of me with my webcam on the side, and you'll see my screen, full screen here. If you are watching that on mobile, meaning if you're watching on an iPad or a tablet or a phone, you'll pick one or the other. I mean, the best scenario is you're actually using the app, the Google Meet app. It's a free app, free download. They sign in with their school account, and there it is. But they would be the ones to pick if they see your face or they have to switch over to see what's being presented. By default, it will go to your face, the person talking, and so they'll see you, but they'll have to click on that to be able to switch it over to the presentation mode to see what you're presenting at the same time. The best scenario, honestly, is if they do have a laptop, if they have one of the Chromebooks, the school Chromebooks available, that would probably be the best scenario because they can see both at the same time. But again, I understand sometimes that's not an option. So if that doesn't come up, then students can just use the mobile version. Just have to make sure they have the app installed and do it that way. Here, citizen science projects. Okay. So if I have a slideshow like this, which we're looking at right now, and we see it, this is edit mode right here. Let it load for a second. Okay, so I'm in edit mode. If I click present, this will go full screen, which maybe is what you want. Okay, so you can see it's basically full screen here, and I could click on the full screen if I really want it to go everywhere. But here's another option. This is one that I would actually use because even within presentations, there are times when I want to jump to another tab, for another reason. What I would do, let's say I didn't want to show this slide here. I don't want that to be included. So I'm going to click on it first, go up to slide, skip slide. So it's still there. It's not deleted, but they're not going to see that. I'm going to go to File, down to the middle here, Publish to the Web. This link right here, I'm going to click on that once. I'm going to copy that link, Control-C. And now if I paste that link up in a new tab, it's basically like full screen. Again, I can hide the menu bar if I want to, but it's basically full screen. And if I click next, I'm not going to see the links that the slide that I hid. I can jump to, if I do need to go back and show something else, I have that option to be able to do that. So I like to use it as a tab like this. You see me on the side, you see the entire slideshow as one. Again, those slides are skipped because you click slide, skip slide. That's the way I like to do it when I do it with my students. You don't have to do it that way. You can just hit present, whatever. But I find this the easiest to get around and kind of manage, and it works best for me. So hopefully that will answer your question. Jump back here. All right, and hopefully you guys will be able to play a little bit with the citizen science projects. I know we did those when I was doing last year with some of the students. We did the space one just because we got a kick out of it. We connected it to our Google account so they could go in and they could use that during recess or during free time. So it was a little bit more, it was still something they could just do and play with, but it wasn't quite as a total just kind of game system. So I thought that was kind of a fun way of doing it. So that's a short one today, but I think it's a good one. I hope you guys have time to play with them. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the Google Arts and Culture. And the reason why that's so important is if we want our kids to do virtual field trips like tours, not just to museums are there, but zoos and historical areas, and it has all kinds of information that's connected with that. So it's not just a one-off where, hey, go walk around the zoo. You can actually do things and they'll show you different examples and themes and artists and all kinds of stuff. So we'll be exploring Google Arts and Culture and how you might use that in your classroom. Again, pretty much any age group is worthwhile, or any content area. You can connect math to it, connect science, of course, and language arts and all that. So depending on what you want to do, that will be a great one for tomorrow. Yeah, absolutely. If you share any of this up for any of the kids, I think it's one of those things that if they know about these citizen science projects, I find my own boys, after a while, they get really into it, and they just enjoyed the idea that they were kind of giving back. There was one other project, actually, that reminds me, thank you, Nate, that I wanted to share, and this is kind of the same idea, and this is not exactly a citizen science project, but I think it's worth mentioning just in the situation we're in right now. I think this is a fun thing to share, to know about. So there's a project right now called Folding at Home, and what this is distributed computing. So what that means is you install this thing, and they use a little bit of your resources on your computer, a little bit of your processing power when you're not using it. So let's say, think of it like it used to be like a screensaver, where you'd walk away and your screensaver would have flying toasters on it or something like that. If you want to install this on your machine, when you're not using your computer, they will use a little bit of your computing power, just a little taste of it. And they're doing that with millions and millions of different computers around the world. Right now, they're using this to hopefully help with COVID-19. So that's what they're called Folding at Home, because they're folding proteins, trying to figure out what's the best way. Because of all the millions of computers they've connected to this, it is now about 7 or 8 more times more powerful as a collective group of computers than the largest supercomputer in the world. So again, the collective power of these millions of computers all giving a little bit at a time has added up to this huge computing power. And again, in this situation, they're using it to fight COVID. So I think that's a pretty amazing thing if that's something you're interested in connecting with. Again, it's not exactly citizen science because you're not really actively, you're just using your computer and connecting it. But it is still kind of a neat example of connecting and showing what can be done if we kind of all work together on this. So I think with that, I'm going to call it. A little bit, like I said, it's a short one today, but I still think it was a good topic, and I will see everybody tomorrow. Thanks a lot.